section 6.7, guys, we only have to do, it's about interest, and there's simple and compound, but we only have to learn about the simple interest, okay? So up at the top, if you could write this equation, the interest is I equals P times little r times little t. So interest equals PERT, okay? And what each of these numbers mean, I is your interest, how much you're gaining on your investment or how much you have to pay on your loan, right? Big P is your principal, and that's your starting amount. R is your interest rate. And T equals time in years. And that's a key thing because sometimes they'll give us time in months and we're going to have to do something, okay? So I equals PRT, where I is the interest, how much you gain on an investment or how much you have to pay when you borrow a loan. P is your principal, how much you either borrow or invest, your starting amount. R is your rate, your interest rate, and T is how long you've had this loan or how long you've had this investment in years, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to find, the I is kind of like our A, it's our amount, so we'll find interest sometimes, but sometimes you'll have to tack it back on to your original amount to know how much your total investment's worth or how much your total loan you have to pay off. So let's look at 1A. Upon graduation, Isla is given money that totals $4,700. If this money is invested at 9.5% simple interest for 7 years, find the total amount. So first we have to say, well, how much does she make in interest? So let's do I equals P times R times T. Okay. Do we know how much she's made? No. So I will stay I. Do we know how much she invested? Yeah, the total amount of money. How much money did she have? $4,700. I'm just going to put it in parentheses, guys. Do we know what rate she was given? 9.5. What do we always have to do with percents, though, a lot of times when we're doing equations? Make it into decimals. So we need to divide this by 100, okay? So this is actually 0.095. And then do we know how long T, how many years? 7. Once you've filled it all in, guys, it's just straight multiplication. So in your calculator, type 4,700 times 0.095 times 7 to see how much money she made in interest. How much money did she make? Perfect, okay? But is that what they asked? Did they ask how much interest she made? No, it just said find the total amount. Well, if she invested $4,700 and then she gained over $3,000, what are we going to do? The total amount, we have to do what? Add it, right? So we'll take our $4,700 plus our $3,125.50 to see at the end of all this, she actually gets $7,825.50. That is a good interest rate there. Please give me whatever bank she's going at. Okay, let's look at B. Allison borrows $10,500 for 4.5 years at a rate of 9.5% simple interest. Find the total amount. It's the same idea, okay? So instead of investing and gaining money, she's borrowing and having to pay this back. So we'll have I equals P times little r times T, where we need to find the interest, and then we're going to tack that interest back on that $10,500 loan, okay? So I will stay I. What was the starting amount that she borrowed? $10,500. You got it, $10,500. What's the interest rate? What do we have to do to this?
0.0.
Yes, divide it by 100, so 0.095. And then the time in years, there's a couple ways you can do the time in years. You can just make it an improper fraction, 9/2. Or does anybody know what half as a decimal is? 4.5, okay? So the time in years, you can either do 9/2 or 4.5, okay? Either or, it's the same thing, okay? Multiply straight across to figure out what the total interest is. And the total interest ends up being $4,488.75. Does that look right? But that's not what they asked. They didn't say how much interest she was going to pay. It's what's the total amount. So if we spent $10,000 or borrow $10,500, we're going to have to tack that $4,400 back on. Okay, so we're going to have to add it again. So the total is going to be the $10,500 plus the $4,488.75. Okay, so her total amount that she'll have to end up paying back is $14,988.75. So this is why, like, if you can avoid borrowing, they want you to, right? Because she only had to borrow it for 4.5 years, but she almost had to pay half as much as she borrowed in interest alone. Is that okay?
Nope.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, is the problem. There you go. Yeah, you feel bad for Allison, don't you? All right. So C, you're buying a house for $250,000. This is where that's a big eye opener. If it's a simple interest rate of a 30-year loan at 6.75%, find the total amount paid. This is what blows your mind, okay? So you're buying a house for $250,000, but look how much it grows just because you're borrowing for 30 years, okay? So let's figure out our interest. I equals P times R times T. We don't know our interest, so the I is going to stay in I, but how much did we borrow? $250,000. Our rate, what do we have to do to 6.75%? You got it. Make that a decimal. And how long was our loan? 30 years. Look at what happened. So remember, it's a $250,000 house. Look how much you pay in interest over 30 years. You pay $506,250 just in interest. Okay? So what's the total amount paid on the loan? Well, you have to pay the $250,000 that you borrowed, but you also have to pay the $500,000. And this is legit. Like, you end up paying about triple whatever your original loan amount is if you have a 30-year loan. So that's why 20-year loans, 15-year loans are a little bit better, because your interest doesn't grow as much, okay? So the total is going to be that $250,000 house you bought, plus basically double in interest, right? You end up paying over $750,000 just for that $250,000 house. Isn't that unreal? And that's legit. That's really what happened.
I have to pay it back like a little over $1,000 on my pay or on my loan.
Oh gosh. I want to show you.
$700.
I'm going to keep this recording because I didn't realize that these notes didn't have one where we're only borrowing for less than a year, like a couple months. Okay? So, on this worksheet, we're going to do number 5 together, and it's going to be kind of like your notes, all right? So that's why the poor people that are watching this video, they get a little bit of a lull right now as I pass out these worksheets. I just want to show you what we need to do if our loan amount's less than a year, okay? So let's look at number 5.
But is this going to be our worksheet? Or
Yeah, this is going to be your worksheet, okay? So I'm just going to have you do evens, and so we'll do number 5. So notice up here it says, find the simple interest, okay? So we're going to do number 5. I'm just going to do the I equals PRT up top. So on all of these, you can kind of do the I equals your P times your R times your T right below it, okay? So looking at number 5, I equals our P. Well, how much did we invest? Your principal is this column, so how much did we invest? $1,200 times our rate, but what do we have to do to our rate of 4.25%? Divide by 100, so we'll have 0.0425. Is that okay? And then, this is what's new, the time has to be in years. And how long are we borrowing it for? Just 6 months. So anytime you see months, just throw it over 12, right? So this will just be 6 over 12, like that. What's 6 over 12? 1/2, right? It's half a year. But you don't even have to stop and think about that, right? If you just throw your month over 12, it'll break it to a fraction of a year for you. So like when you guys go do 6, when you get to the time, just do 8 over 12. Okay? And you can throw it in your calculator exactly like that. So just do 1,200 times 0.0425 times, parentheses, 6 divided by 12, parentheses. And you'll get your answer. What did you guys get? I don't have the answer key out in front. Was it 25.5? So, is that, anybody else get that? Okay? And since it's money, turn it into that cents, right? So 25.5 would be $25.50. Okay? So that's all I have for this section.